The main group that is affected by the consumption of cocaine are teenagers, but that doesn't mean that just that part of the population is affected. But according to the National Institute on Drug Abuse, the addictions tend to appear in the ages between 10 to 21 years, meaning that the teenagers are the most vulnerable population. In the past years, the consumption of drugs was mainly in countries that had a high PIB per capita and that were more developed. But today, the reality is that the drug consumption has extended all around the world, not just to the countries that had a bigger development, but also the ones that are third world countries. The drugs don't care about age, gender, economic situation, or race. Our video is focused on the diffusion of the social and economical consequences of cocaine in the USA and Mexico. Cocaine inhibits the permeability of the cell membrane to sodium and prevents the initiation and conduction of electrical impulses within nerve cells. This pharmacological action is responsible for the widespread use of cocaine as a local anesthetic since the late 1800s. In contrast, the neurological effects of cocaine result from its hypothalamic activity, in which the presynaptic reuptake of norepinephrine and dopamine is inhibited. This mechanism produces an excess of neurotransmitter at the postsynaptic receptor sites, and results in acute rise in arterial blood pressure, tachycardia, and predisposition to ventricular arrhythmias and seizures. The dopaminergic effects of cocaine produce both euphoria and accurately create a heightened sense of power and sexual excitement. However, chronic use may cause dopamine depletion and pre- and postsynaptic receptors, resulting in the dysphoria that develops during withdrawal and the subsequent craving for more drug. In this way, alterations in dopamine neurotransmitter may contribute to the development of compulsive use patterns. Moreover, serotonin biosynthesis is impaired with chronic cocaine use and may enhance the excitatory effects of dopamine and decrease the need for sleep secondary to its effect on the sleep-wake cycle. The illicit substance most commonly associated with respiratory complications requiring hospital admission is crack cocaine. Smoking of crack cocaine can lead to thermal injury of the pharynx and airways, which may be severe. Cocaine is the most common cause of chest pain in young adults presenting to emergency departments. Cocaine has also been associated with hypertension, cardiac arrhythmias, and sudden death due to sodium channel blockade if taken in large quantities. Excessive cocaine use can result in hallucination, agitation, and hypothermia, and management is urgent. In addition, cocaine excites delirium, an important but unusual complication of cocaine use and considered to be an entity separate from cocaine toxicity, is characterized by hypothermia with profuse sweating, followed by agitated and paranoid behavior, with dilated pupils. These extreme behavioral disturbances may progress to collapse and death.
In recent years, cocaine has become a major economic and social problem for Mexico. Because the cocaine not just represents health problems for the citizens and the possibility of death that the user of it can have because of its high addiction potential and the moods and different states that it can produce in the users. The cocaine also has important and maybe worse consequences in the justice systems of the country, specifically in Mexico because of the distribution systems to diverse places where the drug is consumed and because this drug is illegal. The Mexican government invests lots of money in programs for stopping the distribution channels, but the cartels have lots of money too, equipment and employees that protect their investments. The problem is that because of this duel of power, the citizens pay because the government and the drug cartels are fighting between them constantly and consistently. The peace and security of the people is in danger. In the government of Felipe Calderón Hinojosa, the government invested 2,025 billions for the national security project, and at the end of this presidential term, the panorama of the city, of the country, insecurity due to the drug cartels of the country did not change a lot. Also, the drug problem in Mexico has repercussions in the politics of the country because due to all the money that the drugs move, some people of the political system from Mexico has been corrupted by the cartels people and money. So they do not protect the country anymore, but they protect the cartels that they paid him to do so. Also, a very important fact to take in count in that the drug business represents 40% of the PIB or the gross domestic product. So only imagine if the drug disappeared in Mexico, the economics of the country would get down and probably the country could enter to an economical crisis due to that fact. Finally, we have to take in account that the international view that the countries have about Mexico because due to the drugs and the violence problems that the international investors and the touristic clients of Mexico do not want to come and in the country anymore, and that produced a great economical loss for the country. We have to take in account that the tourist contributes with the 8.2% of the national gross domestic product.
The US is a very important country for the manufacturing and marketing of cocaine. It is the second place in manufacturing this product with 94 tons per year, just behind Colombia that manufactures 200 tons per year. The US leads the world's market of this product with 4.8 million users according to the INCB, and it is estimated that one of every four people of this country have ever used cocaine in some point of their lives. The price of cocaine has reached $165 in the streets, according to the National Threat Analysis Drugs of 2011, and 0.15% of the labor force have jobs in the cocaine distribution chain. The highest point of consumption of cocaine in the US was in the year of 1985 with 5.7 million users. A decade later, in the year of 1995, it decayed at 74% and it had 1.5 million users. It is estimated that Americans spend $100 billion a year on cocaine.
In conclusion, we can say that when we talk about the cocaine abuse and the illegal business of drugs, we have to take into account several variables such as the producer of the drug, the channels of distribution, the sellers, and finally the consumers. These big supply chains between the producer and the consumer represent lots of violence, corruption, and debts. Knowing these specific actions that are made in the process of cocaine dealing, we can know and understand that the situation and problem of cocaine and drugs is generally not the same in the United States than in Mexico. We can know this because the process of producing, distributing, and selling are made in Mexico, and in the USA, the selling and consuming process takes place. Observing these facts, we can analyze that Mexico has the worst part of the business due to the distribution and the cocaine transfer process. Because in this process, lots of violence, corruption, and murders are done, and that represents a major problem for the country. Because the politicians are forced to join the corruption networks that the drug cartels make in order to maintain a certain safety for the people. But that they know that it is not reliable, but some of them also do it for the money. So we also need to do some change in the system if we want to finish with this. Narcotraffic affects the Mexican economy due to the violence and instability panorama that the country reflects, and in the end, it makes the country dependent of the drug market. In the other side, we have the United States. This country is affected by cocaine and drugs in general, because they are the main consumers in the world. Although the cocaine has reduced its consumption in the United States, according to the International Board of Narcotics Control, they still have lead the cocaine consuming market with 4.8 million users, in contrast with the consumer of cocaine in Mexico with only 1.4 million users. So, if we really want to finish with this problem, we will have to do a lot of changes in all the government and make the people conscious